Hi, it's me, the Time Traveler, the Collector of Time, and today we are going to be talking about Sinners again. Because last video was more of the storyline, then how I felt, the reasons it didn't work, and the vampires, since the movie didn't show them that much. But rather that, the video will contain spoilers for the movie and slight spoilers for Fright Night 1985 and another movie I forgot. I'm sorry, I forgot what the other one. Oh right, Zootopia. Now I remember. So you have not watched any of those. You have been warned. Now let's talk about Sinners. Sinners is a 1930s movie about these twin brothers that wants to open up a jukebox joint, so they get some help from family and friends until at the night of the grand opening, vampires come up and want Sammy, the little cousin of the twins, to get his soul/musical powers for himself for some reason. Now, that is the summary of Sinners, which on paper sounds great for a vampire movie, until you realize that this is more like a historical drama instead of a vampire movie. I'm sorry, I don't have anything to do with my hands. Just fun. Now, I know that people are thinking, well, why are you saying that? Or, it was not made for you. Which, I know it's not made for me story-wise, but look at me. I am the audience it's catering to. We all are. But, I just did not enjoy it one bit. Except for the part the guy got shot in the butt, or the woman screaming before she turned. But, let's talk about the setting again. So we are at a small sharecropper town in Mississippi back in the 1930s, like I said earlier. And there is about 4 places in the movie we focus on. 1, the sharecropper's land. 2, the church. 3, the small town. And 4, the jukebox joint. Those are the most important settings, so no one talk about that couple's house before Remick turns them into vampires, okay? But the sharecropper's land is important to the characters like Sammy and the Moore twins. Yes, that's their last name. I know most of y'all forgot it because most of you guys call them the Smoke and Stack twins instead. Now the church is important because of the pastor is the uncle of the Moore twins and is the father of Sammy. And Sammy's father does not like him playing with music by saying, quote, "You keep dancing with the devil, and one day he gonna follow you home," end quote. Which is a pretty cool line, in my honest opinion at least. Now the town is important because we meet most of the side characters of the story. And then after Stack convinces the townspeople to go to the jukebox joint, now the main part of this movie is leading up to the jukebox joint and the big old party. Who doesn't like a big old party? So now let's talk about the characters Smoke and Stack, who came back to Mississippi from Chicago to open up a jukebox joint for their financial gains and to see their family friends. Well, that last one is minor detail. And Sammy just wants to play the blues for people instead of just being a sharecropper and a church boy. Beat Rice, who I think is supposed to be Smoke's lover. I heard she's supposed to be his wife. I'm not sure in the story, since she cares for him and his brother, but she still has her own independence and is kind of into witchcraft after her grandma from Louisiana. I don't know what's wrong with Louisiana, but it's like that. Bo wants to help out with the jukebox in exchange for some money for his business, and Grace is the exact same way as her husband. So let's move on to Mary. Mary is into Stack and wishes they can be together, but she knows they can't, and she is grieving over her mother's death that happened recently, and she is mad at the twins for not coming or even sending flowers. Cornbread is there picking cotton since he is a sharecropper, but Stack convinces Cornbread's wife to go and make him be the bouncer at the jukebox. Now, that's all the important side characters and stuff like that. To me, at least. So, now let's get on to how Ryan Coogler said F you for a good antagonist storyline. Awareness. Now, that's kind of a mouthful, but it's the truth. You see Remick, like the vampire, for, well, you see him for about less than 25% of the movie. Yeah. The big bad is not even in the movie for that long. And mind you, this movie is 2 hours and 17 minutes long. I'm not counting seconds, okay? You know the people in the writing room could have put sprinkles of pieces of Remick arrival, but no, the only part we got from him was him killing that couple, which is not good for a big bad. For example, Zootopia. Zootopia is known for having one of the worst twist villains of Disney history, who is the assistant mayor, Don Bellwether. And it's the exact same thing under the villains with a lot of potential in their stories. Now, the reason why I bring her up is because she doesn't have a single scene where we can suspect Bellwether as the villain of the story, which hurts the film a little bit, if I'm going to be honest. But this time, we know who the villain is, and we are interested to see him. So why did Mr. Coogler decide to undermine his character as a whole? Because I can't stress this enough. This is not about vampires. It is about a historical drama, but I guess he did not know how to end it, so he was like, vampires! But these vampires aren't even vampires, even in the story, one bit. These vampires are more like demons, which I know they are the undead, but still, why make them be like demons? And why do they want Sam? No, literally, why? The writers should have explored the reason why Remick is even there. But not everything, because we still want him to be a threat to the main characters and be mysterious, because who doesn't like a mysterious character? And I know the movie Remick wants Sammy's abilities to sing in another N-word pass for himself, but the only explanation was, I want to bring our worlds together, and you, Sammy, are the key. That's my interpretation of it. Which, it is not enough. We should have gotten maybe a visual similar to the beginning of the movie, or show a flashback instead of just words that mean nothing at the end of the day. But Remick should have been done better. Now let's talk about my favorite vampire movie from 1985, Fright Night. Yes, I had to pull out DVD. The premise is a simple serial killer next door that might be a vampire. Okay? And that sounds alright on paper, but when it's put into film, it is great and expressive. But I'll not talk about everything with Fright Night, since I'm going to make a full review of it soon. Not anytime soon, but going to be soon. But Mr. Dandridge, the vampire, is set up at the beginning of the movie. Not the very beginning, but the beginning. But anyways, he is the conflict of the story, since he is killing innocent women for his enjoyment and for his lustrous fantasies. Yeah, you know what? Saying that out loud would make some people not want to watch it. So, oh well, sorry for that. And you should definitely watch it. But you don't like it, sorry in advance. Even though this movie is almost 40 years old, it does vampires right by showing the characters before and after they meet the vampire. Not every scene shows Mr. Dandridge, but you can kind of feel his presence in the movie. At some points, it feels like he's coming after you. That is a great way to foreshadow his arrival to Charlie, the main character's house. Which, that's just all Act 1, okay? Just watching it. Just watch it, please. I'm going to watch it later on today. Now, what did we learn about this so far? 1, don't focus on one part of the movie for way too long, or else you're going to bore of your audience, like me and my grandma. And don't rush too fast, or your audience will feel kind of clueless about some scenes, like, why still does he want Sammy's soul/musical talents? 2, don't undermine major characters like Remick and his gang. 3, and that's last but not least, please, and I mean please, don't make a movie that undermines the story plot diagram. It has a main premise instead. It doesn't have a main premise actually. Instead of, just throwing vampires into a historical drama for no reason. Okay? Okay. But now let's talk about my point of view of Sinners. It was trash. And I'm not trying to say this lightly. And I don't care what people say about it. It's the second worst movie that I've ever seen. Just under Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, it almost beat it, but almost. It's kind of in the clear, but still almost. Now I'll tell y'all guys the story of how me and my grandma saw it on April 29th in theaters. Me and her got to the theater around 10 something after waiting an hour and a half in a Target to see Star Wars 3 Revenge of the Sith. I'm not going to show you the receipt because I'm going to leak myself for that. And I really enjoyed it, but I had like a big old smile on my face. You fool. Why? Then at 1:30, the movie starts. We're talking about Sinners now. And I heard some great reviews, even from my uncle, which he said he wanted to see it again. So I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Then the movie starts and all that. Then the movie was on at one point. My grandma and I were just talking. And I mean, we were just talking at one point that we were here for vampires, not a musical. Because why was over 30 minutes, I'm not joking, over 30 minutes of it was just them singing. And the lady had the nerve to be like, whoo! Like, why? I'm sorry, but I'm still pretty mad. Now I gotta find my script part. Alright. I found it. And we're just waiting and waiting for something to happen until the undeveloped vampires come and kill the party. No, literally. Then the premise outside of soul snatching. Then the movie credits start rolling, and I left the second to hit the screen so I don't have to think about it. So then I don't have to watch it, and I didn't see the 2 post-credit scenes. I'm sorry, this sounds like broken English. But I'm just skipping some parts because I know it's going to take way too long. You go be like, ugh, how long is this going to take? Like me when I was watching it. And then I text my uncle a very mean text that I was even yelling at him through the text. Yeah, not one of my proudest moments, but I had to say what I had to say. Alright, I'm sorry, but I had to. And he was sad and reformed from recommending movies to us ever again. I'm still not trusting him. And we skipped Scream for this, by the way. Scream! The number 1. We're not talking about like number 5. No. We're talking about the first one. Yeah, we skipped that. Just to see Sinners. And I feel like I needed a refund for this because how bad it was. And one thing, Sinners was a sin to my eyes. So please don't watch this. And you did it anyway. After I warned you, I told you so. Alright, that's all I'm going to say. And I rate this movie 2 out of 10 for 2 things. The guys getting shot, and I appreciate Mr. Coogler for loving his craft and putting an immense amount of work into this. Alright, Mr. Coogler, you say it yourself. But out of all things, please don't forget to like and comment, or even dislike and comment. I don't discriminate. And I'll see all you beautiful people later. Oh, wait, I forgot something. I got this. Alright, this is not point, this is not scripted, but I got this. This is issue 1, so Yahoo! But I'm gonna talk to all y'all beautiful people later, and bye-bye.